Well, yesterday I got quite impassioned. And even though the world seems like there's a lot of doom and gloom, there is a little bit of good news that can come out of what's happening today. A poll was done in Portland, and upwards of 70% of Portlanders. Now, Portlanders are absolutely sick of the riots, of the homeless problem. We have news coming out of the 2022 election. It seems that that Republicans are up about 11 points, and there's a lot of good news coming out of all of this that I think might actually create a shift in people's mentalities. I'm going to get into that and a lot more. But before we get started, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and go to shamirisdyer.com and buy something, because that helps me bring you these videos. Sometimes I do get angry. I do get angry at the left, and I'm a very impassioned person when it comes to the politics of this nation, because I have seen in my life the real horrors of the world, and I get angry when politicians just don't care about the American people. But there is going to be a shift, I think, coming very, very soon. So let's get started. Hello, patriotic warriors. Well, let's see. From the Western Journal, Republicans have an 11-point advantage in new 2022 election poll. A new sampling revealing the mood of American voters finds Republicans ready to fight back in 2022 elections. A Democracy Corps poll found that Republicans have rallied around former President Donald Trump, according to a memo published by Stanley Greenberg of the Greenberg Research. The bottom line was 18 months out from the midterm elections, Republicans are more focused on a political battle ahead than Democrats by an 11-point margin. A poll came out about how Democrats view Joe Biden. And what they found was only 48% have a positive outlook on Joe Biden's presidency. 48% approval rating from Democrats. Now, when Donald Trump left office, he had a 90% approval rating from Republicans. Think about that for a minute. Only 48% of Democrats view Joe Biden's policies as being favorable. This is not going to go well for Joe Biden in the coming couple of years. You have Joe Biden's policies are perpetual wars, giving Palestinians money so they can lob bombs at Israel. When the hackers shut down the Colonial Pipeline, Joe Biden went, meh. And now you have people that are absolutely pissed off at Joe Biden. Now, this is good news. People are coming around. People are starting to wake up that the policies that are coming out of Congress, the policies that are coming out of the White House, have a net negative effect on the population. For some reason, Democrats view Republicans as the party of do nothing. There's a reason for that. Democrats typically will go out there, they'll find a problem, they'll say, we've got to do something about it. It doesn't matter what it is, we've got to do something. So you get Democrats in these large cities that say, we've got a problem with police shootings. Let's just get rid of the police. You have a problem with gun crime. So let's just get rid of the guns. You have a problem with all kinds of other things that are going on in the world. And for some reason, Democrats have to rush out there. They have to put policies into place that make absolutely no sense and are a net negative for the American people. Now, the Republicans are always viewed as the party, the do-nothing party. In physics, you have the laws of motion. Now, the laws of motion say that every action has an equal and opposite reaction, and a body in motion will stay in motion as long as it's not affected by another force. Okay. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. The idea is to conserve constitutional principles. Democrats, for some reason, always want to change the good things and just do something to make it look like they are doing something. But usually when the government does something, it has a net negative impact because every action has an equal and opposite reaction. And a body in motion, say the economy, when you exert pressure on the economy from the federal government, it always has a negative reaction. Always. So the idea from the Republican Party is allow people to do what they do. Lower taxes. Lower taxes so the mom and pop shops can operate. Right? I was trying to explain this to a business owner today, and she agreed with me. There's a small business, a little mom and pop shop out here. Amazon loves high taxes. Corporations love high taxes. They will actually lobby for higher taxes. And it's not because they're progressives and they think that there shouldn't be billionaires. I mean, these corporations have produced billionaires since corporations have been around. The reason they like high taxes is because they can push the mom and pop shops out and they have less competition. But if you allow the economy to do what the economy does and not exert power over these mom and pop shops and keep the corporations at bay, you allow the economy to thrive. If you leave money in the market and allow people to start new businesses, the economy will thrive. If you allow more money to be left in the pocket of these mom and pop business owners, they will expand their businesses and create jobs. Now, Democrats call this trickle-down economics, but really all it is an Austrian economic theory that always works, while Keynesian economics, like I said yesterday, always fails. It always leads to the destruction of an economy. The Republicans are do-nothings. Calvin Coolidge was probably one of the greatest presidents in the history of this country. He was the president in the 1920s. In 1921, they had an economic crash that was actually worse than the Great Depression. The reason why it only took 6 months to get out of that depression was because Calvin Coolidge had a hands-off policy. He wanted to do no harm, right? He said, I trust the American people to get us out of this. He went after monopolies. He lowered the tax rates. He allowed people to get past the depression. And what happened next was amazing. We had the roaring 20s. Everybody was prospering financially because of his hands-off policy, his policy of doing no harm. And that's how the Republicans think today. The Democrats want to go out and they want to tell you we're doing something, even if that something is going to lead to financial disaster for the entire country. But I do have good news. I do have good news. Portland protests. From Fox News, Portland protests homelessness have residents avoiding the downtown poll reveals. Portland, Oregon. Residents surveyed about the city's downtown said they plan to visit less frequently, mainly citing the homelessness and rioting that has plagued the area in the last year, according to a new poll. Respondents to the poll commissioned by the Oregonian newspaper used words like dirty, trash, riots, unsafe to describe the heart of the city, which appears to have deteriorated during the coronavirus pandemic and social unrest in the last year. Downtown Portland, once a cultural and tourist center, it was an absolutely beautiful city, is now rife with homeless tents, smashed windows, graffiti, trash, boarded up business, the newspaper reported. And while large-scale anti-police protests have mostly faded since their apex last summer, that's not quite true, but the city has yet to quell the continued destruction caused by smaller groups who go through the city purporting to demonstrate for racial justice, smashing windows, tagging buildings in the process. Okay, this is good news. This is really good news. 70% of the residents of Portland are sick of this. Chuck Schumer is now saying if they don't get H.R. 1 passed, there's no way the Democrats can win. And what does that tell you? What does that tell you? What is H.R. 1? H.R. 1 is a bill that was proposed that would basically nationalize all elections. That is unconstitutional. There would be a hell of a fight that would go to the Supreme Court, and it would probably be thrown out. This is why the Democrats want to pack the courts. That's why they want to pack the courts. Not only can they get gun control, they would also be able to get H.R. 1 pushed through. But the average citizen and Republicans are pushing back. You have moderate people in this country that are not going to vote for the destruction of this nation. This is such good news. I have one more story for you all that, sweet justice. Sweet justice. Nancy Pelosi was hit with one criminal charge. You won't believe what she did. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi stepped in it big time. Pelosi's hatred of Donald Trump clouded her judgment, and it could cost her. And that's because Nancy Pelosi was hit with one criminal charge. You won't believe what she did. At the end of the President Trump speech, Trump's State of the Union speech, Nancy Pelosi stood up and made a spectacle of herself by tearing up her copy of President Trump's speech in half. Matt Gaetz filed an ethics charge against Nancy Pelosi for doing that. But that is actually a crime. It is actually a crime. You cannot destroy government documents. And all of those copies of that speech are collected and filed in the National Archives. Nancy Pelosi committed a crime. Now, her team tried to argue to the judge that it was just a display. But the judge allowed the case to go through. Let's see. The next day at Pelosi's weekly press conference, Pelosi lobbed false claims about the speech and distracted from her temper tantrum. As you know, the week we had the State of the Union require the Constitution of the United States, the President is to submit in writing or in person a statement of the State of the Union. What happened instead was the President using Congress of the United States as backdrop for a reality show presenting state of mind that had no contact with reality whatsoever. I'm going to go back and I'm going to look for that State of the Union speech. And there was nothing that he said in that speech that was untrue. He praised a lot of people in Nancy Pelosi by ripping up that speech. Basically spit in those people's faces. So whatever happens to Nancy Pelosi, good. And in 2022, as we see the American people get sick of critical race theory, of homelessness, of riots, and basically the Democratic Party in general. You know, I spent a lot of time talking on this channel about the racism of the left and the bigotry of low expectations and the notion that black people are so inferior that they can't even get driver's licenses. You know what? The Democratic Party, they've done it to themselves. They've done it to themselves. But I just wanted to bring some positive stories today, because yesterday I was a little bit angry and I was a little bit impassioned, and the things that I've seen in my life, the true horrors that I've seen in my life, and the fact that every argument from the left is, man, it's first world problems. It's first world problems. Go outside of your comfort zone, go outside of this country, and just look at the world as it is. The world is not a place of funny, fuzzy bunnies and rainbows. The American people, especially people that live in the city, we're soft. We're soft and we're spoiled. And you need to go outside of your comfort zone. You need to go to places like Italy, where they don't have air conditioning. You need to go to places like Mexico, not in Cancun, not in Guadalajara. You have to go to the places that real poverty is, and you have to see what these people live like. You have to go to places like the Middle East. It's going to be dangerous. And man, if you're gay in this country and you honestly believe that the United States is homophobic, you know what? You go to Saudi Arabia, you're going to be in true danger, right? If you're transgendered in this country, we are very, very accepting of people of all stripes. And I keep trying to tell people, this is the most diverse and this is the most diverse, accepting country, probably other than Israel, in the entire world. Western culture, Western philosophy is very accepting of all kinds of different people. And I couldn't imagine living in a country where diversity of thought, racial diversity, diversity of ideas, and people just living together in harmony. I couldn't imagine living in a country that doesn't have that philosophy. You're here. You're in America. This is the greatest country on the planet. And it's because of our diverse culture. That's the reason. I'm going to leave it there. You guys have a good day. If you like these videos, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and share these videos with your friends because that gets me around the YouTube algorithms, and I will see you later.